Do we have any answer today? We don't want a military dictatorship. We don't want fascism. We don't want any of the other alternatives. So we need a democracy that functions. So that's why we feel that democracy will be strengthened by political debate, but it should also be, as Kalpana said again, not instant democracy. It can't be instant coffee, instant anything. It has to be thought out very clearly, because the consequences of this will hurt all of us. I see a lot of you yawning, so I'll end very soon. Just bear with me for 10 more minutes and I'm finished. So, on all this, empowerment actually means what? People define the empowerment, we don't. We also understand and appreciate and accept the notion of empowerment. But empowerment is not those toilets and not those various things. It is the right to work, right to health, right to food, right to life, right to decent wages. That's what they want. So we have to work principally on what they want. So if they want the right to know, then we defined a law on which their right to know was paramount. And that's why India's law is significantly different, and many people in the world think it's a fantastic working information regime in India. And none of them have it. Mexico, which wants the same thing, hasn't been able to do it. Then, if we say everything is wonderful about it, then why are we there talking about rural India needs us? Does it need us at all? And I think it does. Just as they need us and we need them. Do you think Bombay would have got built without rural India? That Delhi would have got built without rural India? Rural India has come to us. Only thing is, when it comes to us, we treat them like scum. We say, Jugi Jopris, mein aa jate hain, ye mazdoor aa jate hain, ye chor hain. We give them all kinds of appellatives. हम वहाँ जाते हैं तो we expect कि हमें खातिर करे, हमें घर के अंदर ले जाए, हमें अच्छे अच्छे खाना दे, हमें चाय पिलाए. And they, like this woman, shows the door and says, "Oh," because it's parity. So what we need to do is we need to go there. Principally, we need to understand that there are issues in which we still haven't found answers, and for which we are much to blame. One is this huge identity crisis. Nowadays, politics is more important than anything else. It's taken over ideology to a large extent in India. So the first thing is, are you a Gujjar? Are you a Jat? Are you a Brahmin? Are you this or that? We managed to camouflage it in urban India, but in rural India it's very stark. The first question they ask you is, kis jati ke ho? Before they even talk to you. So in that, I think we'll have to deal with it. The second thing that we have to understand is that we need to look at institutional delivery in a very serious way. Systems, schooling. That's why it's so important to look at a grievance redress system outside the Lokpal, which we've been talking about. Where if your school doesn't run properly, through the RTI we found in a school in Barmer, the teacher has auctioned his teaching profession to a tout. He never comes, because they wanted to know the name of the teacher who was not teaching. And they found that the man who comes to the school is a very different fellow altogether. So he was somebody who was touted. He was doing his business. So we really need to get an education that delivers, teachers that deliver. We need to ask questions about policies. We need to ask questions about everything. If that is enabled by us, then we've done a great job. As I said, in our great desire to do all this, we must also think about the fact that we fight their parochialism. We think it's very degrading, and it is wrong that you think of yourself primarily as a community, as a person who belongs to a particular place. But we do the same. We also get defined. I find that in the IAS now, there amongst the IAS officers, you have Brahmin groups, you have Rajput groups, you have Oswal groups in Rajasthan, which is a subsect of the Jains, and these groups then operate where one IAS officer is corrupt or any other Meena group. One IAS officer is caught in a corruption case, then all the other officers of that community fight the government politically and otherwise to prevent that officer from getting arrested. So how is this any different from what they do to us in the villages? So we really have to fight this kind of degrading identity politics that has come in. while we understand that identity is also important for the people we have oppressed for years, for them it is an important aspect, and I am not talking against reservation. I am not talking against the need for women to have reservation. I am not talking against all that. That's making up for historical wrongs. So we are struggling very hard to give back sovereignty to the people. After all, you and I and all of us, when we cast that vote, send someone in to rule for 5 years on our behalf. And RTI has taught us how to use that sovereignty. RTI has made it imperative that we be treated as sovereigns and information be given to us. The Aadhaar project, on the other hand, is taking all our information and feeding us into the state. The state is going to keep this information, how we don't know. On what basis we don't know. The bill is not being passed in Parliament, and yet work has started in a massive way. I don't have fingerprints, for instance. It's crazy, but I don't have a thumbprint. Does that mean that I can't ever get anything? Or I'll have to have an iris scan? And why is my information to be kept by the state? And how do I know that there won't be a right-wing leader tomorrow who will become President or Prime Minister of India and will use it against minorities, or against Dalits, or against women, or against ideology, or against a person like Binayak Sen, just because he had thought in a certain way? How do you know it won't be used? So in the definition of rights, somewhere there is an infringement on the right to think, the right to be, and the right to also keep your privacy. So the Aadhaar is violating us in many ways. I won't go into it because it's a whole debate. But in that you have to think of how it can track you, how it can victimize you, and this information is not even going to lie with the state, it's going to lie with a private body. What the private body will do with that information, I dread to think. With the corruption levels being whatever it is, any kind of information can be traded off anywhere for a price. So that's why many of us fight the Aadhaar scheme. And it's not because we think the technology is bad. Biometric systems are okay. We all get money out of ATMs and so on and so forth. We get tickets in some other place. We put thumbprints here and there. We don't oppose biometric systems, but we oppose the state collecting all information about all of us, and while saying it is not mandatory, say, but if you don't have this, you can't do that. Then we'll all be forced to do it. So we are afraid of that kind of control of the state on our lives. I'll end now by saying that for us, it is extremely important that we control the government also. And for that system and that relationship, it's extremely important that we understand that all laws being made by government should be in the public domain, that we should discuss it, and that the state has no right to abrogate all systems of information. I will quote Lal Singh Ji, again one of our friends who was a great activist and a great ideologue in MKSS, and when he was invited we were all invited by the IAS Academy to say something in, the local state academy to say something in Jaipur on a very cold day. We were sitting on dharna, and Lal Singh Ji is a kisan. He wears a dhoti and a kurta, and he wears a turban which we call a safa. He was wrapped up in a dari, a tent house dari, because he was feeling cold, and he didn't have a shawl, and we went in. They gave us 10 minutes each, and for Lal Singh, when it was turned, they said, finish off in 3 minutes. And he said, I don't want 3 minutes, I'll finish it off in 1 minute, what I have to say. And what he said, I will say in Hindi, and I'll end there, because it's this kind of people and this kind of learning that really makes you stick on and understand that there is great knowledge, great wisdom, great courage, and great understanding in an India which we don't know very well. He said, मैं अपनी बात 1 मिनट में कह दूंगा. He said, हम सोचते हैं कि सूचना का अधिकार नहीं मिले तो क्या हम जिएंगे या नहीं जिएंगे, क्योंकि हमारे लिए कुछ भी नहीं होगा, ना घर, ना मकान, ना खाना, ना पीना, ना दवाई. इसलिए हमारे लिए तो सूचना का अधिकार नहीं मिले तो हम सोचते हैं कि क्या हम जिएंगे या नहीं जिएंगे. This was 1997, not now. Then he said, pointing to the officers in front of him, आप सब सोचते हैं कि सूचना के अधिकार मिल जाए तो क्या आपकी कुर्सी रहेगी या नहीं रहेगी. He said, आप सब सोचते हैं कि सूचना का अधिकार मिल जाए तो क्या आपकी कुर्सी रहेगी या नहीं रहेगी. मगर दोस्तों, हम सबको मिलकर सोचना चाहिए कि क्या ये देश रहेगा या नहीं रहेगा. So that is finally what all of us today in this forum must think, कि ये देश रहेगा या नहीं रहेगा. So it's not me and you, urban, rural, young, old, rich, poor, but ये देश, with all the corruption, with all the exploitation, with all the things that we are told, it becomes everybody's duty to know what the government is doing in my name. And that for us will be participatory democracy. Thank you.